Let's talk about something we all crave deep down, but rarely admit out loud: the ability to draw people in without forcing it. There's something powerful about being noticed, not for the noise you make, but for the calm, magnetic energy you bring into a room. Trust me, I've been on both sides of the spectrum. I've been the one trying too hard, overthinking every word, every move. And I've been the one who finally learned to let go and let presence do the work. Let me tell you, the latter is a game changer. You see, the most attractive people in the world aren't the loudest or the flashiest. They're the ones who carry themselves with a quiet confidence. They don't need to announce their value because it's written all over the way they move, speak, and exist. That kind of quiet power, it's not just something you're born with, it's something you cultivate. And here's the truth: it's not as complicated as you think. It doesn't require a complete personality makeover. It's not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about small, intentional habits that make you stand out in the most effortless way. Habits that build a foundation of inner strength, calm, and authenticity. When you start to embrace these practices, you'll notice a shift, not just in how others see you, but in how you see yourself. That's the real win. I know this because I've been there. There was a time when I was so focused on external validation, trying to impress people, trying to fit in, trying to be what I thought others wanted. It was exhausting, and honestly, it didn't work. But when I started focusing inward, something amazing happened. I stopped chasing, and suddenly I became someone worth noticing. Not because I changed who I was, but because I started showing up as the best version of myself. Here's the best part: you don't need to be perfect to start. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to take the first step. Start paying attention to the way you carry yourself, the way you respond to challenges, the way you treat others. Confidence, calmness, and authenticity, they're not reserved for a select few. They're choices you can make every day. And let me tell you something else. The world needs more people like that. More people who are steady in the storm. More people who are present and truly listen. More people who lead with integrity, not ego. When you become that person, you don't just change how others feel about you. You change how you feel about yourself. You start walking through life with a sense of peace and purpose that no one can take away. So, if you're ready to step into that version of yourself, the one that radiates strength without saying a word, you're in the right place. Let's do this together. You've got everything it takes to make it happen, and I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Let's talk about the kind of confidence that speaks without words. The kind of presence that makes people pause and take notice, not because you're trying to impress them, but because you carry yourself with an unshakable sense of self. It's not about being the loudest voice in the room or having the perfect comeback. It's about something deeper, something quieter, something that comes from within. And the best part, anyone can cultivate it. When I first started exploring this, I thought confidence was all about appearances, how you dress, how you talk, how you present yourself. But I learned something profound. True confidence doesn't start on the outside. It starts on the inside. It's the way you see yourself when no one else is around. It's how you talk to yourself when things get tough. It's the decisions you make, even when no one is watching. That's where the real power lies. Building internal confidence starts with self-reflection. This isn't about overanalyzing or nitpicking your flaws. It's about getting to know yourself in a way that's honest and empowering. I started by carving out a little time each day, just a few minutes, to sit quietly and ask myself the hard questions. What do I truly value? What am I proud of? What am I working to improve? At first it felt uncomfortable. I didn't always like the answers. But over time I realized that this simple habit was helping me build a foundation of self-awareness. Self-reflection has this incredible way of cutting through the noise. It helps you see yourself clearly, not through the lens of what others think, but through the lens of who you truly are. And when you know yourself like that, you stop needing validation from the outside. You stop worrying about whether people will approve of you or not. That's when confidence starts to feel effortless. Meditation is another practice that changed everything for me. Before I started, I thought meditation was just about sitting still and trying to clear your mind, which honestly sounded impossible. But when I began learning about Stoic meditation, I realized it was something completely different. It wasn't about emptying my mind, it was about focusing it. I'd pick one question or thought, something like, "What's within my control today?" and just sit with it. I'd let the distractions come and go without judgment. Over time, I noticed something amazing. My mind started to feel less chaotic. I felt more centered, more present, and more confident. When you meditate, you're training your mind to stay calm and focused, even when life feels overwhelming. That calmness is something people notice. It's something they're drawn to. And the best part? It's not something you have to force. It just becomes a part of who you are. One of the biggest lessons I've learned about confidence is that it's not about being fearless. It's about showing up, even when you're afraid. I can think of so many moments where I felt out of my depth, giving a presentation, starting a new project, even having a difficult conversation. My instinct was to avoid those situations or over-prepare to the point of exhaustion. But when I started practicing Stoic principles, I realized that confidence isn't about eliminating fear. It's about moving through it. It's about trusting yourself enough to handle whatever comes next. One Stoic idea that stuck with me is the concept of focusing on what's within your control. So often, we tie our confidence to things we can't control: how others perceive us, whether we'll succeed or fail, whether things will go exactly as planned. But when you shift your focus to the things you can control, your effort, your mindset, your actions, you free yourself from that constant anxiety. You stop worrying about how you'll be judged and start focusing on what you can give. That shift alone can make you feel so much stronger. Another thing I've noticed is that confidence grows when you keep promises to yourself. This one took me a while to learn. I used to make all these big plans: wake up at 5 a.m., work out every day, never procrastinate, and then beat myself up when I didn't follow through. But Stoicism taught me that it's not about setting unrealistic expectations. It's about taking small, consistent steps and proving to yourself that you're capable. When you say you'll do something and you actually do it, no matter how small, you build trust with yourself. And that trust? That's the bedrock of confidence. I also learned the power of silence. You don't always have to fill the room with words to make an impact. In fact, some of the most confident people I've met are the ones who know when to listen. They don't rush to speak just to prove they're smart or capable. They take their time. They think before they respond. And when they do speak, their words carry weight. That's something I've tried to embody in my own life. When you're comfortable with silence, you're showing people and yourself that you're secure enough to just be. There's something magnetic about someone who's at peace with themselves. It's not about arrogance or pretending to have all the answers. It's about having this quiet assurance that comes from knowing who you are and being okay with it. That kind of confidence doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need applause. It's steady, unshakable, and deeply attractive. The journey to this kind of confidence isn't always easy, but it's worth every step. Every time you choose to reflect instead of react, to focus instead of worry, to act with integrity instead of seeking approval, you're building something that can't be taken away. And that's the kind of confidence that radiates strength without a single word. It's not about perfection. It's not about being the best at everything. It's about showing up as the best version of yourself and letting that speak for itself. And when you do that consistently, something incredible happens. You stop trying to chase confidence, and it starts finding you instead. The kind of confidence that radiates silently doesn't just come from knowing yourself. It's strengthened by how you navigate life's storms. It's one thing to feel grounded when everything is going your way, but what about when chaos hits? The real test of inner strength, and the key to becoming someone others naturally trust and admire, is how you carry yourself when things get messy, unpredictable, or overwhelming. I've been through moments where I felt like the ground beneath me was crumbling, deadlines piling up, unexpected challenges, or situations that seemed designed to push every button I had. In those moments, I used to react emotionally, panic, frustration, or even anger. But the more I leaned into Stoicism, the more I realized that calmness isn't just a choice, it's a skill, and mastering that skill changes everything. When you stay calm in the face of chaos, you're sending a message, not just to others, but to yourself. You're saying, "I've got this." That kind of steadiness isn't just about looking composed on the outside. It's about building a core of emotional resilience on the inside. And let me tell you, it's magnetic. People naturally gravitate toward those who can stay collected when everyone else is losing their cool. The first step in finding tranquility during chaos is learning to separate what's within your control from what isn't. I can't tell you how much energy I used to waste worrying about things I couldn't change, other people's opinions, the outcome of situations, or the curveballs life throws. One of the most liberating lessons I've learned is that your peace doesn't have to depend on the uncontrollable. You can choose to focus on your response, your actions, and your mindset instead. It's empowering, and over time, it becomes second nature. Breathing has become my anchor during chaotic moments. It sounds almost too simple to work, but it's incredible how much power there is in something as basic as your breath. When I feel tension rising, I pause and take a few deep, deliberate breaths. In through the nose for a count of 4, hold for 4, out through the mouth for 4. This small act slows everything down, giving me just enough space to reset and approach the situation with clarity. It's like hitting the pause button on chaos. Another practice that's helped me stay calm is reframing my perspective. Chaos often feels overwhelming because we see it as something happening to us, something personal. But what if it's just life being life? What if the challenge in front of you is an opportunity to grow stronger, to prove to yourself that you can handle more than you thought? Shifting my mindset like this has transformed how I approach difficult situations. Instead of feeling like a victim of circumstances, I feel like an active participant in my own story. I've also learned the importance of creating small rituals that ground me, especially when life feels out of control. For me, it's as simple as starting my mornings with a few quiet moments to journal or reflect. I write down what I'm grateful for, what I want to focus on, and what I need to let go of. These rituals act like a mental compass, keeping me steady even when the day ahead feels uncertain. And the best part? These habits don't require a lot of time or effort. They just require consistency. One of the most powerful lessons from Stoicism is understanding that emotions are temporary. They come and go like waves, and if you can resist the urge to react impulsively, they'll pass without dragging you under. This was a game changer for me. I used to let frustration or anxiety take control, but now I remind myself that emotions don't define me. They're just signals, not commands. When you can sit with those feelings without acting on them, you're reclaiming your power. Staying calm in chaos isn't about suppressing emotions or pretending everything is fine when it's not. It's about acknowledging what you're feeling, processing it, and then deciding how to respond. One technique I've used is what I call the power of the pause. Before reacting to anything, I give myself a moment, just a few seconds, to breathe, think, and choose my next step. Those few seconds can make all the difference between reacting emotionally and responding wisely. Another thing I've noticed is how contagious calmness can be. When you're steady in the middle of a storm, it doesn't just benefit you, it influences everyone around you. People naturally look to the calmest person in the room for reassurance. You become a source of stability, someone others trust to handle tough situations. That kind of reliability isn't just attractive, it's invaluable. One of the most underrated tools for maintaining inner peace is simplicity. When chaos surrounds you, simplifying your approach can make all the difference. I've learned to ask myself one key question: what's the next right thing? Instead of trying to solve everything at once, I focus on the immediate step in front of me. Breaking things down like this not only keeps me calm, but also helps me stay productive without feeling overwhelmed. Finally, I want to share something that's been a guiding principle for me. Control the controllable and let go of the rest. It's not always easy, but it's one of the most freeing things you can do. Life will always have its challenges, but your ability to maintain calmness and emotional stability is what sets you apart. It's what makes you someone people look up to, someone they trust, someone they're drawn to. When you master the art of staying calm in chaos, you're not just navigating life more effectively, you're becoming a source of strength for yourself and for others. And that quiet strength, it's irresistible. It's the kind of energy that makes people feel safe, respected, and drawn to you in a way that words alone never could. Staying calm in chaos is a powerful foundation, but there's another piece to this puzzle that can transform the way you connect with people: being fully present. It's easy to overlook how rare presence is in today's world. Most of us are so distracted, so caught up in what's next, that we forget to truly be where we are. And yet, when you give someone your undivided attention, you're offering them something almost magical, a sense of being seen and valued. That's the kind of energy people don't forget. Presence isn't just about showing up physically, it's about bringing your full attention to the moment. I can't count how many times I used to find myself in conversations where my mind was miles away, thinking about deadlines, plans, or even what I was going to say next. And you know what? People can feel that. When you're not fully present, you're sending a silent message that this moment, and by extension the person you're with, isn't important enough. That's not the kind of impression I wanted to leave, so I decided to change. The first step to mastering presence is learning to quiet your mind. For me, this started with something as simple as focusing on my breath. When I'm in a conversation, especially one that feels important, I take a moment to ground myself. I remind myself that this person deserves my attention, and I let go of the urge to mentally multitask. It's not always easy, but the more I practiced, the more natural it became. Over time, I realized that the gift of presence isn't just for others, it's for me too. It allows me to experience life more deeply, to truly savor the connections I'm making. Listening is a huge part of being present, but not just hearing words, listening with intention. There's a difference between listening to respond and listening to understand. I've learned to focus on what the other person is really saying, not just the words, but the emotions behind them. When you do this, people feel heard on a deeper level. They open up more, they trust you more, and that trust is where real connections are built. One of the challenges I've faced is resisting the temptation to fill every silence. Silence used to make me uncomfortable. I felt like I needed to say something, anything, to keep the conversation flowing. But I've come to appreciate the power of pauses. Sometimes the most meaningful moments happen in those quiet spaces. They give you time to reflect, and they give the other person room to share something deeper. Pauses aren't awkward, they're opportunities. Another thing that's helped me stay present is practicing mindfulness in everyday situations. Whether it's a meal, a walk, or even a simple conversation, I try to bring my full awareness to what's happening. I notice the details, the tone of someone's voice, the way their eyes light up when they talk about something they love. These small observations help me stay anchored in the moment, and they make my interactions feel richer and more genuine. Presence isn't just about paying attention to others, it's also about showing up as your authentic self. When you're truly present, you're not putting on a mask or trying to be someone you're not. You're allowing yourself to be fully seen, flaws and all. That kind of authenticity is magnetic. People are drawn to those who are real, who aren't afraid to be vulnerable or imperfect. It's a lesson I've learned the hard way, but one that's made all the difference in how I connect with others. Body language plays a big role in presence too. I used to underestimate how much non-verbal communication matters, but the truth is, your body speaks volumes before you even say a word. I've made a conscious effort to maintain open, engaged body language, making eye contact, leaning in slightly, and avoiding distractions like checking my phone or fidgeting. These small changes have had a huge impact on how people perceive me. They feel respected and valued, and that respect often comes back to me in return. One of the most surprising things I've learned about presence is how contagious it can be. When you're fully present, you create a ripple effect. The person you're with starts to mirror your energy. They become more present too. It's like a shared moment of clarity that deepens your connection. I've seen this happen in both personal and professional relationships, and it never ceases to amaze me. Another key to mastering presence is letting go of the need to control every interaction. I used to approach conversations with a mental checklist, things I wanted to say, points I wanted to make. But this mindset kept me stuck in my own head. When I let go of that need for control and started approaching conversations with curiosity instead, everything changed. I began to see interactions as opportunities to learn, to explore, and to connect on a deeper level. It's a shift that's made my relationships feel more natural and fulfilling. Presence also means being okay with the unexpected. Life doesn't always go as planned, and neither do conversations. Sometimes someone will say something that surprises you, challenges you, or even makes you uncomfortable. In those moments, staying present means leaning into the discomfort instead of retreating. It means being open to what the moment has to teach you, even if it's not what you expected. There's a confidence that comes with mastering presence. When you're fully engaged in the moment, you're not worrying about how you're being perceived or whether you're saying the right thing. You're simply being. That kind of authenticity is rare, and it's something people remember long after the conversation is over. Staying present also means being intentional with your time and energy. Not every moment or interaction requires your full attention, and that's okay. But when you choose to engage, make it count. Show up fully. Be there, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. That's where the magic happens. Mastering presence isn't about perfection. It's about practice. It's about making the choice over and over again to show up fully in your own life and in the lives of those around you. And the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. You'll find yourself building deeper, more meaningful connections without even trying. You'll become someone people want to be around, not because of what you say or do, but because of the way you make them feel. Being present is one of the simplest yet most powerful ways to elevate your relationships and your life. It's a habit that takes effort to build, but the rewards are worth it. When you master the art of presence, you're not just connecting with others, You're connecting with yourself, and that connection is where true growth begins. When you're fully present, you create connections that resonate deeply, but there's something even more powerful than presence: integrity. The way you align your actions with your values speaks volumes, even when you don't say a word. People might not always articulate it, but they sense when someone is authentic, when their behavior reflects their beliefs. And that quiet consistency, it's a magnet for respect and admiration. I've learned over time that integrity isn't about being perfect. It's about being real. It's about standing firm in what you believe, even when it's not the easy thing to do. There have been moments in my life where the choice to act with integrity wasn't convenient. Sometimes it would have been easier to cut corners, to avoid conflict, or to say what someone wanted to hear instead of what was true. But in every one of those moments, I discovered something. When you choose integrity, you gain something far more valuable than temporary ease. You gain self-respect. And when you respect yourself, others can't help but notice. Living with integrity starts with clarity. You need to know your own values, your non-negotiables, and the principles you're committed to upholding. For me, this meant taking a step back and asking myself some hard questions. What really matters to me? What kind of person do I want to be? And perhaps most importantly, am I living in a way that reflects those answers? It's not always comfortable to confront where you might be falling short, but that honesty is where growth begins. Once I became clear on my values, the next step was aligning my actions with them. This isn't always as straightforward as it sounds. Life is full of gray areas, and there are moments when doing the right thing isn't black and white. But I've found that when I act in a way that honors my values, even when it's hard, it brings a sense of peace and fulfillment that nothing else can match. It's like building a foundation that doesn't crack, no matter what pressure it's under. Integrity is also about reliability. If you say you're going to do something, do it. I've seen how powerful this can be in both personal and professional relationships. When people know they can count on you, their trust grows. And trust is the cornerstone of any meaningful connection. It doesn't require grand gestures. Sometimes it's as simple as showing up on time, following through on promises, or being honest about what you can and can't do. These small acts of consistency build a reputation that speaks louder than words ever could. Another key aspect of integrity is honesty, not just with others but with yourself. I've learned that being truthful isn't about always saying what's easiest or most comfortable. It's about being real, even when it means having tough conversations or admitting mistakes. There was a time when I avoided admitting when I was wrong because I thought it would make me seem weak. But I've since learned that owning up to your mistakes doesn't diminish respect. It strengthens it. People appreciate honesty because it shows courage and humility, two qualities that are rare and deeply valued. Integrity also means doing the right thing when no one is watching. This is where your true character is revealed. It's easy to act with integrity when there's an audience or when you know you'll be acknowledged for it. But the moments that define you are the ones where you choose to stick to your values, even when there's nothing to gain and no one to impress. These moments build an inner strength that shines through in everything you do. I've also found that integrity involves setting boundaries. When you live in alignment with your values, you're naturally going to encounter situations where people or circumstances challenge those values. It's not always easy to stand firm, but I've learned that it's essential. Setting boundaries isn't about being rigid or unkind, it's about protecting what matters to you. And when people see that you respect yourself enough to uphold those boundaries, they'll often respect you more as a result. One of the most powerful things about living with integrity is how it influences the people around you. It creates a ripple effect. When you act with honesty, reliability, and authenticity, you set an example. You show others what's possible, and sometimes that inspires them to do the same. I've seen this happen in my own life. When I made a conscious effort to live more in line with my values, the people closest to me started noticing. They started asking questions, reflecting on their own choices, and in some cases, making changes themselves. It's a reminder that the way you live doesn't just impact you, it impacts everyone you interact with. Living with integrity also brings an incredible sense of freedom. When your actions align with your values, you don't have to second-guess yourself or worry about keeping up appearances. You're not trying to be someone you're not, so there's no need to keep up a facade. This authenticity frees up so much mental and emotional energy, allowing you to focus on what truly matters. And that kind of freedom, it's rare and deeply attractive. It's important to remember that living with integrity isn't about perfection. We all make mistakes, and we all have moments where we fall short. What matters is how you respond to those moments. Do you own up to them, learn from them, and strive to do better? Or do you sweep them under the rug and pretend they didn't happen? The choice is yours, and the way you handle those moments says a lot about who you are. When you live with integrity, you're not just building a reputation, you're building a legacy. People may not always remember every word you said or every action you took, but they'll remember how you made them feel. They'll remember the trust you earned, the respect you commanded, and the authenticity you embodied. And that kind of impact lasts far longer than any fleeting impression. Living with integrity isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. It's a journey of aligning your actions with your values, being honest with yourself and others, and consistently showing up as the person you want to be. It's about building trust, earning respect, and creating connections that are real and lasting. And in a world where so many people are trying to be someone they're not, living with integrity is one of the most quietly powerful things you can do. It doesn't need to be loud or showy. It simply speaks for itself. Living with integrity creates a foundation of trust and authenticity, but there's another quality that deepens that respect and admiration even further: emotional restraint. In a world where impulsive reactions often dominate, the ability to stay composed and thoughtful in the face of challenges is a rare and powerful trait. It's not just about avoiding outbursts or keeping your cool. It's about embodying a sense of control that others can feel and rely on. I've learned that emotional discipline isn't something you master overnight. For years, I let my emotions drive my reactions. Anger, frustration, anxiety, they all came spilling out without much thought. It wasn't until I started practicing self-control intentionally that I realized how much power there is in choosing how you respond, rather than letting emotions take the wheel. This shift not only changed the way I handled situations, but also how people perceived me. The more grounded I became, the more others seemed drawn to that energy. The first step to emotional restraint is recognizing that your emotions are not the enemy. They're just signals. When I feel anger bubbling up or anxiety creeping in, I don't try to suppress it. Instead, I take a moment to acknowledge it. I've found that simply naming the emotion, telling myself, this is frustration or this is fear, creates just enough distance to keep it from overwhelming me. It's like stepping outside of the storm and observing it from a safe place. From there, I can decide what to do with it. Breathing has been one of the simplest yet most effective tools for me. When emotions start to feel intense, I focus on slowing my breath. Long, deep inhales and controlled exhales help reset my body's response. It sounds basic, but it's incredible how something so small can shift your entire mindset. When you breathe through a heated moment, you give yourself time to think. and that space can make all the difference between reacting impulsively and responding wisely. Another practice that's helped me is learning to pause before I respond. This wasn't easy at first. I used to think that quick reactions showed strength, but I've come to realize that patience is a much greater display of control. Now, when someone says or does something that triggers me, I take a moment to pause. Sometimes it's just a few seconds to collect my thoughts, and other times it's stepping away from the situation entirely. That pause isn't about avoiding the issue, it's about ensuring my response reflects who I want to be, not just how I feel in the moment. One of the most challenging but rewarding aspects of emotional restraint is letting go of the need to prove a point. I used to feel like I had to defend myself in every disagreement to make sure my perspective was understood. But I've learned that sometimes the strongest response is no response at all. When you don't take the bait in a heated argument or unnecessary conflict, you're showing strength, not weakness. You're demonstrating that your peace is more important than winning an argument, and that's a quality people respect deeply. Patience has been another key lesson for me. In moments of frustration, whether it's dealing with delays, misunderstandings, or challenges, patience is what keeps you steady. I remind myself that most problems aren't as urgent as they feel in the moment. By stepping back and allowing situations to unfold without forcing an immediate solution, I've found that things often resolve more smoothly and my energy stays intact. Emotional restraint isn't just about how you handle negative emotions, it's also about managing positive ones. Excitement, enthusiasm, and passion are wonderful, but even these can cloud your judgment if they're unchecked. I've learned to channel those emotions thoughtfully, using them to fuel my actions rather than letting them control me. This balance ensures that I stay grounded, even in moments of joy or success. Self-awareness is at the heart of emotional discipline. I've made it a habit to reflect on my reactions after challenging situations. I ask myself questions like, what triggered me? How did I respond? What could I have done differently? This reflection isn't about self-criticism. It's about learning and growing. Over time, this practice has helped me become more intentional in how I respond to emotions. One of the most unexpected benefits of emotional restraint is the way it impacts your relationships. When you're calm and thoughtful in your reactions, you create a sense of safety for those around you. People feel they can trust you, even in difficult conversations or high-stress situations. They're drawn to your steadiness, and that trust becomes the foundation for deeper, more meaningful connections. Another thing I've noticed is how emotional discipline enhances your decision-making. When you're not ruled by impulsive reactions, you can see situations more clearly. You're able to weigh options, consider consequences, and make choices that align with your values. This clarity not only benefits you, but also inspires confidence in others. Whether it's in personal relationships or professional settings, people look to you as a source of wisdom and stability. Practicing emotional restraint has also taught me the value of empathy. When you're not consumed by your own emotions, you have more space to consider what others might be feeling. This perspective helps you respond with compassion, even in moments of conflict. It's a reminder that everyone is navigating their own challenges, and sometimes a calm, understanding response is exactly what's needed to diffuse tension and build connection. One of the most empowering aspects of emotional discipline is realizing that it's a skill you can improve with practice. There's no such thing as perfect self-control, but every time you choose to pause, breathe, and respond thoughtfully, you're strengthening that muscle. Over time, it becomes second nature, a quiet, powerful presence that others can't help but notice and respect. Emotional restraint isn't about suppressing how you feel or pretending you're unaffected by challenges. It's about owning your emotions and choosing how to respond in a way that aligns with your values. It's about staying grounded even when the world around you feels chaotic. And the more you practice it, the more magnetic you become. Not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because that calm, grounded energy speaks for itself. In the end, emotional discipline is a form of freedom. It frees you from being controlled by outside forces, from being pulled in every direction by fleeting emotions. It allows you to stand firm in who you are, to respond with intention, and to build connections that are rooted in trust and respect. And that kind of strength? It's irresistible. It draws people in, not because of what you say, but because of the quiet confidence you exude in everything you do. Becoming quietly attractive isn't about changing who you are. It's about uncovering the strength and magnetism that's already within you. Through confidence rooted in self-awareness, the calm that radiates during chaos, the art of being present, the unwavering power of integrity, and the quiet allure of emotional restraint, you create a presence that speaks louder than words. Each of these habits builds on the last, forming a foundation of inner strength and authenticity that naturally draws people in. The beauty of these principles is that they're not about quick fixes or surface-level tricks. They're about cultivating a deeper connection with yourself and others. When you focus on aligning your actions with your values, mastering your emotions, and showing up fully in every moment, you'll find that respect, admiration, and meaningful connections follow effortlessly. These aren't just habits. They're a way of living that transforms not only how others see you, but how you see yourself. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these habits resonated with you the most? Is there one you've already started practicing, or one you're excited to try? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to know what stood out and how these ideas can make a difference in your life. And if you found value in this, don't stop here. Hit that subscribe button and join me for more insights that help you live with purpose, confidence, and authenticity. Let's keep growing together, one powerful habit at a time. Thanks for being here with me, and I'll see you in the next one.